liquid finance.
Yeah, real quick.
Wayne, we got with the recording. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, maybe an
The
intro.
recording is on, and it records the chat. Okay.
Sweet. I'll kick things off. Welcome to the DXbiz call for September 19th, 2022. Yeah, this call is being recorded. The chat's also recorded and the audio is recorded. Yeah, we have Akshay here from Transferto. Thanks for coming. This is our normal weekly DXbiz call for DXDAO. Yeah, we can kick things off with you. I think we have about 15 or so minutes if you want to give us some background on yourself and Transferto and LiFi, and maybe we can ask some questions after that, and then yeah, we'll kick into the rest of the agenda, and you're welcome to stay around or leave. So, but thanks for coming.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, Sky, for the intro. Hey guys, I'm Akshay. I'm part of the core team of LiFi. LiFi is a Russian bridge aggregator which started almost like 1 year back. So we started as a hackathon project, like in scaling Ethereum, and we've been building bridge aggregators ever since. So I was one of the early team members. I joined almost a month after LiFi was started. And I've been inside LiFi ever since, and being part of multiple teams, wearing multiple hats. Currently, I lead BD at LiFi because I understand technology behind bridges, and I come from tech background as well, so I can answer any and all of your technical questions, as well as business related questions as well. So I think just a small clarification about LiFi and Transferto. So LiFi is the main protocol or the main company, and like Transferto is our front end for us. So the Transferto is the B2C side of LiFi, and LiFi by default is a B2B company. So Transferto.xyz is the B2C facing product. Yeah, so to give you a small gist of what exactly LiFi is and how we can benefit from each other. LiFi is a Croatian bridge aggregator. So we are a bridge aggregator. So we are an aggregator for bridges, kind of like one niche for bridges, where if you wanna move from some blockchain to another blockchain, we find you the best bridge and route you through the best bridge possible. So along these bridges, we also have dexes on all the chains, so that we can support end-to-end swaps. So let's say you have Aave and Polygon, and you want to get into Magic and Arbitrum. Usually, you would have to go through two dexes and one bridge to do this one swap from one token on one chain to another token on another chain. So instead, what we do is that we just batch these three transactions so that you only have to sign one transaction or sometimes two transactions if the bridge doesn't support it. So that's our core protocol. So we're a bridge and Dex aggregator, and we offer this core protocol. We wrap this up in an SDK and API to offer this to other projects so that they can integrate inside their dApp or which or wallets or their websites, etc. So that's like a brief intro about DeFi. We have an SDK that you guys can integrate to facilitate bridging between blockchains. And we've been around for a while. We have our own research team, which does nothing but researching bridges, bridge security, bridge capital efficiency, fees, etc. So we write extensively about bridge security and about bridges in our blog, bridge.. And yeah, I think that's about it. Happy to answer any of the questions that you guys have. I did some research on Swapper as well, and DXDAO. And yeah, what you guys are building is exciting for sure.
Thanks, Akshay. Yeah, comparing your product to like the aggregator of 1inch, I'm curious in bridging, because I guess a lot of, especially if they're big trades, a lot of trades on, say, 1 inch, for example, the aggregator's job is to split between different places to to sum up to the best price. Is in the bridging world, would you find that it's more like the ease of finding the single best bridge for your specific token, or does transfer to actually end up splitting liquidity across multiple bridges, like a true aggregator using smart algorithm? I guess is that how often does that happen? And then is it like only for really big size bridging, and then small bridgers, smaller amount users typically just find like the one single best bridge path? If you could give some background on details on that stuff, yeah.
Sure. No, currently, of course, we do have plans to do that as well, but currently we don't do that yet because there are some challenges here where not all bridges take the same amount of time to transfer assets from one chain to other chain, as well as it depends on the chain as well. So currently we don't split transactions between bridges, but we do plan to do it in the future by using cross-chain messaging protocols. But yeah, so 1 inch is very easy for them because they can just do it in a single transaction inside the block, in a single block itself. But we can't do it, right? Because the bridge transactions take a lot of time. So, I mean, variable amount of time between bridges. But having said that, we are releasing multi-hopping soon. So what that means is that let's say you're moving money from, let's say, $2 million or $5 million from Polygon to Arbitrum. That means that like you would have to, if you end up using Connext or multi-chain, any of these liquidity bridges, it would cost you a lot more money, right? So instead, what we can facilitate is that we can bridge from Polygon to Ethereum uh, using something like, using Polygon POS bridge, and then bridge from Ethereum to Arbitrum again to make sure that they're not spending a percentage cut of your total amount transferred. So that's something that we are working on. But splitting between bridges, that's something we have in our roadmap, I think Q2 2023.
Gotcha. And on that multi-hop example you gave, that's obviously more than one transaction. So from a user experience, are they like, are they signing a message that like gives you the power to do these things on the user's behalf, or do you have to like confirm multiple transactions?
Yes. Sometimes the user might have to with some bridges, but some bridges support passing messages through bridges. So, for example, Connect bridge supports sending passing messages through bridges. That means that like you can just sign one transaction on Polygon side, and after that, when the bridging is done from Polygon to Ethereum, the transaction on Ethereum side is going to be signed by the bridge smart contract. So when that happens, like the user is only signing one transaction and they're getting the funds on the Arbitrum side directly. But of course, this is not supported on all the different bridges. I mean, all the bridges that we support. Currently, we support 13 bridges, and out of these, only 3 bridges support this feature. But as many bridges as possible, like almost all the bridges are working on this particular feature because it's the hardest feature in the bridging industry right now. So soon, I think this is possible to do it in a single transaction, but at this moment, the routes are limited, and the options that you can actually, like the number of bridges that you can use to do this kind of transaction, it's also limited.
Thanks.
But yeah, we aim to support this as soon as the bridges support this. And along with this, we're also working with Layer 0 and Axelar to support message passing through LiFi as well. That means that we might not have to rely on bridges at all to facilitate this.
Oh, nice. Moonbeam also using XLR. Actually, on the business side, do you have any analytics? Is there any data showing where the main activity is, what type of actions users are performing, whether it's swaps on same chain, cross chain swaps, bridging, which networks have the most traffic. And then if you could also mention, again, on the business side, the revenue sharing model if we integrate LiFi
Yeah.
in Swapper.
Sure, sounds good. Yeah, we do have data on the most active chains. Like currently, Arbitrum, Polygon is one of the most active chains that we have. People just like bridge from Polygon to all the L2 chains and Moonriver, Moonbeam, everything. So I think the most active chains currently are Polygon, Arbitrum, Optimism. BSC still is because of Binance. And we do have data on all these things and we can share it. But currently it's not public yet. If I can share my screen, I can show it to you guys. Yes. Can you guys, yeah. My screen
Yes,
is
we can see
visible,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So far we have moved around like more than $250 million. Earlier we didn't used to track our volume, but yeah, since February we have moved $250 million through LiFi, and our most used chains are this Arbitrum, Ethereum, Optimism, BSC, Phantom, along with Polygon. So you can actually see the flow of funds from chains originating from Optimism to Arbitrum is one of the most used, uh, most used chains. Optimism to Arbitrum, and Polygon to Arbitrum. So like these are the destination chains. Arbitrum is actually the, I think, hardest destination at this point, I guess. Uh, Polygon being the second one, and Optimism to picking it up. But yeah, we of course as a bridging project, we don't actually see a lot of volume from or to Ethereum. People have started using L2 chains already. These are the various bridges we have as well. So Connex is one of the most used bridges that we have, and we are the only aggregator with Connex as well. As well as Connex is one of the most secure and most capital efficient bridges out there. And of course, we have multi-chain, which supports millions of dollars of transactions. And most of our big ticket transactions go through multi-chain. And yeah, we do have the native bridges as well, but we recently added them to our smart contract. That's why you don't see a lot of volume to them. But we also have added Stargate from layer zero. So of course they have billions of dollars of liquidity, so which gives us a lot of options to move. Yeah. That's our data. I can share this with, I think, a few people for sure. You guys can look into it too. So with respect to fee sharing and our business model, so we are very close in touch with One Inch and Passwap and done from One Inch and Munia from Passwap. So that's why we do use a similar model as them. So as they are the OG aggregators, so we also use the same similar model, which means that if you guys integrate LiFi and if you guys decide to charge a fee on top of LiFi SDK, so we're going to be taking a small cut in that. So that's our business model, similar to One Inch and Paraswap. For example, if you guys decide to charge 0.1% on top of LiFi transfers through SwapR, that means we're going to be taking, let's say, 15% out of it. So 15% or 0.1%. And rest 85% you guys are okay. Yeah, that's our simple business model right now.
Thanks very much, Akshay. Awesome. Has anyone got questions?
I had one more question. And then maybe I think other people might have some questions, but I played around before. How of the, so you just showed us like the bridging stats, but you also like allow the, swap combined with bridging. Is swap combined with bridging a very small percentage of the usage in general right now? Like obviously that's I think that's going to get more and more popular as it gets easier and better in the future. But Is like the actual cross-chain swapping a large part of the usage right now?
Yes, so currently it is, but only on the on the source chain, right? So you can swap from any asset to any asset on, let's say, Polygon to any asset on Arbitrum. But usually any asset on Polygon is like supported. Like you can swap from, let's say, WBTC to USDC and then bridge to Arbitrum USDC. So that flow is actually like very, I mean, used a lot. But we also see a lot of volume through Connext. So Connext supports the destination call features so that we can swap on Arbitrum without any extra transactions. So it is picking up, but the thing is that there is some slippage in these routes. So that's why users don't prefer destination calls at this moment. But we're trying to fix the slippage through various means. So we do see that like this is picking up a lot in the recent days, and almost all our clients ask for single transaction swaps instead of multi-transaction swaps. So yeah, this is our like top priority as well.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Any other questions? No.
I mean, you were very eloquent. It's pretty clear. It's up to us to for the DAO to make the decision. So thanks very much for attending and presenting, Akshay.
So I just have a question as well.
Yes. Nice. Yeah. Please.
So you guys have recently started supporting a bridging feature inside Swappa, right? So I know that you guys have integrated socket to bridging, to support this bridging, and like what is your, how do you guys see it right now, and are you guys facing any issues? If yes, what kind of issues?
I think Socket has been working great for us. I remember talking with you guys almost a year ago. Me and Venki went to a call with one of your founders. I don't remember his name. We basically wanted to talk about bridging and how we should go on to it. From that moment, I think he gave us a demo to try out LiFi, and it wasn't actually working as good as Socket, to be honest. And we chose to integrate Socket instead. But yeah, we're not limited to one bridge. So we basically have this system where we calling it basically like echo bridging, or whatever you want to call it, economy bridging, where the user have the choice to choose which bridge to use actually. So we show the different choices of aggregators, not just the bridges. So basically, we're the 1 inch of 1 inch of 1 inch, or whatever you want to call it. So we basically aggregate aggregators too.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, we could add LiFi too. I think that's part of the plan to do that.
Yeah. I mean, so we love that, we appreciate it, and we understand that that's actually the best option, because Socket is also a good bridge, good bridge aggregator, and they also have a different algorithm. But in some routes we are better, in some routes they are better, and our algorithms differ from each other as well. So I think as swapper, of course, your best choice is to aggregate both and choose the best one, or let users choose the best one, right? And I think
I think when it comes to also not only the bridge, right? So the bridge swapping or swap bridging, it is important for us to have different partners to work with. Right now, we only have Socket, and it is good to have at least one more option. So just from that perspective, it's also good to integrate someone else and potentially you guys.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Okay. Yeah, that's my question. But yeah, nice. Definitely a nice chat with you guys, and happy to answer any other question in our chat. as well in over text if needed.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, both 1KX is invested in you guys, right?
Yes, yeah,
And I think
1KX, yeah.
yeah. So I think 1KX is I wouldn't say like invested in DXDAO, but I think 1KX hold a big amount of DXD, which makes them like an investor officially.
Yes.
And I think we both have like the same people believing in both our products. I think we have a lot of collaboration we can do. So we definitely
Yes.
should talk more and see how we can collaborate and yeah, we're happy to talk further.
For sure. Yeah, no, Dimitri from 1inch has been one of our close advisors, and like 1KX is the lead investor at LiFi. So we are very close in touch with them. As well as like we would love to do the marketing campaign with you guys as well. And we believe in the philosophy of aggregating aggregators. So I think that'll be a great point to put across our social media as well. So yeah, happy to work on these things together.
Super. Yeah, let's take that further.
Okay.
Thanks, Akshay. Yeah, you're welcome to jump, or you can stick around and listen to the rest of the topics we're going to talk about. You already caught some of them in the beginning. We're doing a hackathon for hackers, basically, with a few different co-organizers that are closely aligned to our values in Bogota the weekend before Dappcon. So if you think there's anyone in your community that would be interested in that type of hackathon, we'll send you the link. It's infinite hackathons. It's on our Twitter too. But if you have any either members of your community or users of your community that would be interested in that type of hackathon, rather than like one giant large one with lots of like corporate sponsors and stuff, feel free to share it with anyone that you think might like it.
Definitely, yeah. So is there a link in the chat?
Nathan, do you have the link handy? Maybe we can DM it to you as well.
Okay, sure.
There it is. Yeah, it's a little bit of a Keenan shared it. It's hard to. It's not the easiest link to verbally tell to someone, but it works.
It's good. Thanks, guys. I'll stick around for a while and see how it goes.
Thanks. So this was cool because this was also related to the swapper discussions we were having earlier. This will all be good in our conversations that we have at our retreat in Bogota as well. And then speaking of retreat, Zet had mentioned Swapper Squad is working on preparing some information and kind of maybe active participation type thing for Bogota, and the DXbiz Squad plans to do this as well. We may try to share it initially prior to Bogota, just so people can get up to speed with it, and then it will be quicker to review and discuss, and then get into the more additive discussions while in Bogota. But like we did at the last DXDAO retreat, and then we actually did, I think, virtually once before, we can review some of the contributions and highlights that the squads have been doing over the last 6 months, 1 year. Basically share the path that the current and potential path that the squad has been planning and what it's been working on. And then the interactive kind of part would be to give all the different squads in DXDAO more of an opportunity to affect and alter that path depending on the asks and needs of each squad, and then prioritizing as a group what the DAO thinks the most important objectives would be in those different paths. And then I think coming out of the retreat, the idea would be to propose that to the DAO and get approval of that path. And I think this same process will happen for most of the different squads and all the products as well. And then the idea of, in my mind, the idea of the retreat is to have close alignment across all these different things and propose that to the community and seek approval from the community. I was thinking that I know that Nathan and Dave and Zet, who were in Berlin, we talked a little bit about some of the cool things that happened on the swapper call. But if there was anything, it seemed that you guys met a lot of people. Zet mentioned the DAO panel, and getting DXDAO represented and things like that obviously is important. Nathan gave a awesome presentation, I believe. Nathan, if you want to give some highlights from Berlin, and Zet and Dave, you guys are welcome to add, but anything, connections you made or new ideas that came out of it would be great to hear.
Yeah. Overall, Dappcon and the whole blockchain week in Berlin was very inspiring. It was very vibrant. A lot of familiar faces, unflinching building, even new faces. The space is growing, and I feel like we're gonna come back stronger in the next bowl. It's interesting that there are certain type of solutions that surface at each conference, and Dappcon was very broad. It tried to encompass many different topics and not just focus on a single thing. Kudos to Gnosis Chain being actually organizing an event and being chain agnostic, allowing competitors to present. It was very. It speaks volume of the whole industry, how we are both competing but at the same time cooperating and trying to build so that everyone is better off in the end. What impressed me, or I mean, not impressed in terms of like I was wowed, but what um, struck me was I saw a lot of focus on decentralized ID solutions. One in particular was Fractal using zero knowledge technology. There was there were, I think, three different solutions actively building in this space, and they are on one hand trying to find a market fit. On the other hand, they do have use cases that they advertise and feel like it could help the space. For example, in token distribution, in DAO governance, again preventing Sybil attacks, and it is something we haven't explored. Maybe we should consider talk about during the retreat whether it's something we would like to incorporate in our products and our solutions. Another type of solution I saw from different organizations being built. We've probably all seen Namada and Anoma at other conferences that they had a solid presence at Dappcon as well, building privacy networks, Shutter Network, HopperNet. So it feels like there's a strong signal from the whole industry that we do need privacy, and it is very pertinent now with all of the censorship. It seems like there's a new wave of protocols allowing distributed validation. We've seen Diva, Obol. They are kind of offering what Pocket Network are doing for RPCs. They do that for validation for liquid token staking protocols. Yeah, overall it feels like the ecosystem is also trying to get a feel of what its future would look like, multi-chain with all of these different layer ones, all of the layer twos, rollups. I heard people already talking about layer three, and speaking to people from different protocols, builders and also users, it seems like everyone is still sticking to mainnet, and in order to move to a rollup or a different network, you need to have a specific novel product that would nudge people to move on to. And I personally struggle figuring how the multi-chain ecosystem would actually work. I'm grateful for solutions like liquid finance and other and the messaging protocols they use to allow for cross-chain swapping and bridging of tokens, but it seems like moving tokens to a sidechain or L2 is mostly influenced by liquidity mining or some opportunistic incentive, but the solid applications and solutions that are being built that will serve as infrastructure are still kind of navigating towards mainnet. And a lot of emphasis on wallets. And I think those decentralized ID solutions I mentioned earlier, they could potentially help elucidate exactly how many users does the space have. And I'm a bit scared to have a look at that number if we have that at some point in the future, because I'm wondering, like, do we really have users, or is it us, the builders, shifting around investor money? Um, and yeah, it was also interesting to see our designer Dirk's perspective on the um, product design in the space. Like, he brought up an interesting point about CowSwap. Like, if you are someone from traditional finance Web2 space and you land on a website on an application that has cows that are being abducted by spaceships, you probably wouldn't take it seriously enough so that you would consider it as a product that you would, you know, deal your finances with, right? So it's like, to us, we're like in this bubble. We look at those interesting applications and we find them cool and we use them. But like, are we really scalable in a way that we appeal to normal people? And so I think the emphasis would be on solutions like wallets, products like liquid finance, making it seamless, like presenting all the features and products in the space into like a one product, obfuscating all the complex transactions and smart contract stuff in an easy interface that people don't need to worry about too much how it works on the back end. I think we're years away from being ready for normal users and shifting a lot of users from Web 2 to Web 3.
Yeah, that's all awesome insights, Nathan.
I hope it makes sense. It's a bit of a rumble.
The one interesting topic that you had mentioned earlier today that is like at all these conferences, there's a lot of DAO panels, right? There's a lot of DAOs out there that are trying to figure out how to do governance, how to do HR at a DAO, how to organize at a DAO, how to not get burnt out at a DAO. This has been hot. These have all been hot topics for the last 6 months, 12 months. And there's people up on those speakers talking about this stuff, and someone had mentioned like holding your mouth and saying, "Oh, well, DXDAO has been doing this, and DXDAO has figured this out." Yeah, the key is one of the hardest things is sharing that and getting people aware of that, and taking the learnings that DXDAO has done and sharing those in those spaces. And so, actively seeking out spots on those panels and presenting on these things is one of the only ways that DXDAO has like growing its awareness on those topics, because DXDAO is an expert in many of those things. And so doing that more and more is very important. And at the same time, like at MCon, there was a panel of legal and DAOs, and they basically all, and I wrote about this in my recap of MCon, but they all basically say like every DAO needs a legal entity, and it needs a single legal entity, and that is the only way that they were suggesting. There's no one that is suggesting alternative ways. Yet we have a bunch of DAOs that are doing it another way. And the question, like when they said that, I asked them in the entire giant crowd, the whole room was packed, why they're all pitching every DAO should have one single entity, which seems like a centralized point of failure, and why no one is saying that there should be 800 entities contributing to a on-chain DAO and coordinating and using the DAO tech on-chain so that 800 entities can coordinate together. And there was no good answer. And that was what was so excited about. People like Giannis, who gave a presentation last week internally to DXDAO, he's actually thinking about a lot of these issues and what are the alternative paths and why those could make sense, and how to do things in safe ways and very transparent and open ways, and figuring out the future way of across the world, rather than just take all this new awesome technology we have and trying to squeeze it into the old ways of coordinating and gathering. And so it's highly relevant, and we need to keep pushing. DXDAO has always been a great example of working on that edge, and that's why with our products, when we are discussing whether or not to integrate something that is centralized or is a central point of failure, that is a big important decision. And so far, DXDAO has tried to build unstoppable, unconquerable products, and sacrificing anything in order to move away from that, even for more users or potentially more revenue, is a big important question that the entire community needs to answer, and that includes all stakeholders in the entire ecosystem.
Yeah, I had an interesting conversation with people from Infura, and I gave them an example, like of literally all the customers that Pocket Network have. not a single one, but DXDAO asked them to decentralize their portal. So it's like, on one hand, you are offering quote unquote decentralized service. On the other hand, the access to it is totally centralized. So it isn't decentralized, right? Yeah, you are given to use a product that works until it doesn't, until someone takes it away from you. Whether you get your password stolen or hacked, or the service provider shuts it down. And if they have thousands of users, not a single one of them even raised the question. It was just DXDAO saying, is there a way for us to use this portal in a decentralized way? And they went on like for months operating just the way they are, without, like, if they see how many of our users asked us to do it, oh, just one out of thousands, so it's not a priority. But then all the regulators started like going after censored addresses, and they realized that they need to change how they work. So if they had listened to that single user who asked them to do that, they would have been prepared well ahead of all of the regulatory stuff that happened. So we are in a way helping the space, but no one's listening to us until it's too late.
I think this should be a very important topic when we talk about our direction. Like, if we believe in something and let's say our investors also signal, propose, saying, hey, this might not be relevant right now, but there should be an entity building stuff and pushing for decentralization. And it might come at a cost, right? We might be slower. We might have harder time finding right partners. We might have harder time doing revenue. We might have longer building time because we need to obviously customize whatever we're doing to make it 100% decentralized. I think this should be an important thing to ask ourselves and our investors. Yeah, if we still believe this is the right way to do it, even though no one else is talking about it, or at least admitting that this is the way to do it. We should ask ourselves if we should still keep doing it, or should, I don't know, lose some of that and actually start, thinking about other directions.
Or we could even do both. And what's interesting is like it blows my mind how it's literally more than 3 years ago, Gnosis created this censorship-resistant global collective that is custodying decentralized front ends. It's like if this had just caught on and others have just handed over the custody of their front ends to an entity like DXDAO, it would have looked completely different today, right? Because it's almost like you're providing a service. Like, devs should focus on building the protocols. They shouldn't worry about regulatory scrutiny, or like worry about self-censorship, over censoring themselves, being scared whether regulators will clamp on them. Just have a decentralized, autonomous organization take care of the front end, and you just keep building on the back end. And I spoke with Sergey at the 1inch party and asked him, like, why is 1inch worrying about all that stuff when you could just focus on the protocol and hand over the front end to DXDAO, for example? And he was like, well, how long does it take you to do an update? And I said, well, for security reasons, it takes a week. And he's like, yeah, but we do updates every 2 days. And listening to me, one might say, oh yeah, that's a bummer. But to me, that's actually a huge positive signal. If that's the only problem, there is no problem. I think this is really good. Yeah. If he has literally no other objection but that, I don't think that's an issue.
Cool. I guess we're at the top of the hour. But that was a great call. And Akshay, thanks for coming and thanks for sticking around. Hope to be in touch more.
Thanks a lot, guys. This was pretty informative for sure.
Awesome. Okay. See you, everyone. Have a great week. Appreciate it.
Cheers. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.